So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders, their backgrounds, their successes, their challenges, and what's really driving them forward. So, this afternoon, I'm delighted to have with us Paul Wood, who's Managing Director at JTM Service Limited. So, firstly, Paul, thank you for coming on board and sharing some time with us and spending some time with us. And
You?
if you'd like to introduce yourself, JTM, what you do, how you help people, that would be wonderful.
Of course, yeah. I'm Paul Wood, like you say, MD, owner of JTM Service Limited. We're a commercial laundry equipment and dishwasher business based in Leeds. So we help our customers, people like care homes, hospitals, housing, hotels, with all their commercial laundry equipment requirements, servicing, supply, and our specialism is, if you like, is looking after our customers and understanding their needs and meeting their specific needs. We're award winning. We have won 3 awards this year. We think we're the market leader for service. Well, we don't just think, I know we are.
Brilliant.
We do that through our team, through having an engaged, motivated team. I truly believe if you have an engaged, trusted, supported team, the customer service side of it takes care of itself.
Brilliant. Couldn't agree more. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Obviously, I was looking at your website before we started, and I noted that you've won this year the Sunday Times Best Places to Work for this year. So, A, congratulations,
Thank
and,
you. Yeah.
and B, tell us a little bit more about that, why that's so important to you, and perhaps what you've done to you feel you've done to win that.
Yeah, so the Sunday Times Best Places to Work is a nationally recognised award. They list the best places to work in the country. Um, we've done a lot of work over the last 5 years on employee engagement, on building our team, motivating our team, and we felt it was the right time to be independently assessed.
Brilliant.
So that's done through an employee survey, through a third party, and you have to score, I think, over 70% to make it to the list. We scored 95%, and we're the only recognised company on the list in our industry, which I'm happy to say I'm super proud about. We are
Brilliant.
very excited when we got the news this year that we were added to the list. Yeah, we had a bit of a celebration.
Quite rightly too. I mean, well done. I just think it's wonderful. It's really interesting as well, Paul, because over the last couple of years, we found ourselves we do a lot of work talking about client attracting great clients and retaining great clients. It's like, but we're just doing more and more the same principles absolutely apply to attracting and retaining great people because the people market has become so difficult over the last few years.
It is.
We found.
Yeah, you've got to, I mean, it's really easy, isn't it? Everybody says you employ for attitude and your train skills, and it's really easy to say that and much harder to do it, isn't it? But it is
Yes.
true. It is true that clearly there's a base level of skills. There's no point
Yes.
employing an idiot, is there? But you employ somebody with a base level of skills, and then it's all about their attitude. Do they care? Do
Yeah.
they truly care? And if they care, I think most people you can develop and train, and they
Yeah.
can be a huge asset.
We often use the phrase that life's a mirror and a business is a mirror of its owner,
Yeah.
and the services that the business offers is a mirror of the way that staff are treated. So it
Yeah.
really, I can see how you've
Yeah.
won the award and how that also helps you with that idea of the customer service side. So well done.
Absolutely, and every culture, everybody's different, either. So the right person, what I believe, what our team believe, the right person for JTM service might not be the right person for somebody else. And in the same way, the right person for another business, there might be a great person, there might be add loads of value to that business. We just might not be the right place for them, and that doesn't mean they're a bad person or we're a bad company. It's
Yeah,
the right culture, the right person for each business.
brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. So, Paul, maybe if we take a bit of time to look backwards for now, and perhaps you could talk a little bit about your background, how you got into business, and why this particular one for you.
Yeah, yeah. So born and raised in Yorkshire, I'm a Batley lad. So for those of you who don't know Batley, very posh, lovely place. If you do know Batley, yeah, just ignore that bit. It's yeah, it's so yeah, brought up good family unit, hardworking background. Never knew what I wanted to do, if I'm honest.
Yep.
So, what were my dreams and ambitions? I'm not really sure. I went to university really to put off getting a job because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I did law at university, and then I was looking for jobs. I applied for an accountancy job, an insurance salesman job, to work in a bank, a couple of others, and the accountancy job offered me first.
Yep.
So I took that. So probably not an inspiring story with a big dream as to what I wanted to be. I kind of fell into accountancy
Yeah.
because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted a career. Um, so I trained as an accountant, and in hindsight, it was a fantastic base
Yeah.
qualification.
Yep.
Um, I suppose one thing I learned over the years, I was quite an average accountant. Uh,
Right.
so I worked in accountancy for KPMG as a firm. I moved into
Right.
business, worked for BP, massive multinational organization, then moved into SMEs. I've worked in different fields like insurance, manufacturing, fire and security. And really my main skill, if you could call it a skill, is I like to stick my neb into everything. Um, I was a bit of a jack of all trades, master of none, but I liked getting involved in all areas of the business,
Yep.
whether it be marketing, customer service, new product development. And so my background's across a wide range of industries, a wide range of roles, starting out in finance, but moving on, and then becoming a managing director of a fire and security business was the
Yep.
last company I was in.
Yep.
But yeah, quite a variety of background, not a grand plan originally. Fairly soon realized I suppose if I had a dream, it was to be an MD.
Yeah.
Somebody once asked me why, and I couldn't answer it. And at the end of it, it was a coach actually. He said, "That's fine, actually. You don't need to know why. You've just got to drive,
Yeah.
and that's absolutely fine. You don't need to justify it. That's just
Absolutely.
something within you." So yeah,
Absolutely. It's just getting in line with the things that are important to us, isn't it? It's like we don't
it
always
is.
need to know why. It's just like that's
No,
just what I want to be, and that's wonderful.
yeah,
So, and fascinating. Our founder, Brad Sugars, he is exactly the same background of training as an accountant, and then
yeah,
working in so many different parts of businesses that he was in, and just to sort of build up that knowledge across
yeah.
business from anything from sales and marketing through. Obviously, finance was the first one, but yeah, get a real understanding for what are the key facets of a successful business.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a great basis because you do
yes,
get involved in all different aspects.
yes,
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that way.
yeah, brilliant. So looking back over the growth of the business, what are some of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome, Paul?
Uh, yeah, I suppose one obvious one. So I joined in March 2020. So I
Right,
joined on the 1st of March 2020 into a
right,
new business, a new industry as MD. The previous owner was retiring. I met him. I had an opportunity to buy the business. Big dreams, big plans, and saying the obvious, a month later we're in lockdown.
yeah,
The world had gone, you
yes,
know, belly up, hadn't it? It was all a crazy time. It's hard to
yeah,
remember exactly. And I was in a business that frankly, I didn't know much about, having to make some big decisions,
yes,
um, having to almost park some of the thoughts and plans I had
yeah,
to get through, take it day at a time almost to get through the next stages. So that, yeah, it was a huge baptism of fire. And whilst COVID was never a good thing, and I would never try and say it was a good thing, it was awful. Being selfish, it actually helped in many ways because I just needed to get into the day-to-day
right,
operations of the business. I was often there'd be just one of us in the office. I'd be taking deliveries. I'd be going out on site to help on installations. I'd be shipping parts out to people, answering customer calls. Like the rest of the guys, we were all just pitching in.
yeah,
And actually, it was a great way to learn the business and to get to know the team.
brilliant.
We were all so reliant on each other. We had to make a decision and go with it. Whether it was the right decision or
Yes,
the wrong decision, you made the best decision. You did it for the right reasons. And if it was the wrong decision, as long as you were doing it for the right reasons,
Absolutely.
and you didn't stick with it. If it was totally wrong, you changed.
Yep.
Had to be flexible.
Yes.
So yeah, so that period of, I remember the first 6 months probably in hindsight were, yeah, they were pretty stressful. I had debts to pay, finances were tight, income was down, new business. But wow, in many ways, for me personally, it was incredibly lucky and fortunate because what a grounding for me to
Yep.
get to know the business so quickly in the team.
Brilliant. Wonderful. And
Yeah,
and and yeah, I mean a really good example of turning what, was on the face of it a very big negative
yeah,
into a very great positive. So
yeah. Well, somebody fairly quickly, I remember somebody saying to me, yeah, turn survive. I can't remember how the word it was. Something like turn survive into thrive.
yep.
So to be honest, the first bit was surviving, wasn't it?
Yes.
As a business, I'd love to say I knew we'd be fine, we'd thrive straight away. That's not true.
Yeah.
After a few months, you start thinking, right, we need to turn this to our advantage.
Yep.
There's benefits we can do. We need to thrive from this. And so
Yes.
that was a mindset that I think helped me
Yep.
fairly quickly, was it was thrive, not survive.
Yep. I remember we were talking before about we were doing webinars at that point to help as many people as we could, and there was a great phrase. I think one of the great quotes that I picked up was from Charles Darwin,
Yeah.
who was about evolution in his book, The Origin of Species, and it said something like, "It's not the most intelligent or the strongest of the species that survive, but the ones that are most adaptable to change."
Yeah, okay. I've not heard that. I like that one.
I'll send it to
I'll
you.
make a
Yeah,
note of that one.
I'll send it to you with pleasure, and
That-
it's a really interesting
That's
point. Is
really
it?
true, isn't it? Really true.
It really is, isn't it? He says, "Well, okay, let's modify. Let's see how we can take advantage." It's always is. If this was an opportunity, what would we do? And,
Yeah.
and it's a
Yeah.
different way of working as something that's feels negative because it for so many people, understandably, had their head in the hands, and I'm guessing part of the sectors you would be serving would have. The
Yeah.
hospitality, for instance, was obviously non-existent at that point.
Yeah, we had
And
hospitality that was disappearing. We had care homes that had huge challenges, hospitals with huge challenges. So
so,
yeah,
yeah,
one bit of the business shut down, the other bit added complications. Yeah,
yeah,
it was. So you're right, adapting, being flexible. Yeah, I like that.
it's so key, I feel anyway. And so, looking back again over whether it's the challenges or the successes, what are the biggest things you've learned about growing a successful business? Would you say?
Yeah, I suppose the biggest thing for me personally that's happened over the last few years, and probably linked to that period, one of the things, do you remember we had to send everybody home and suddenly we go to a remote working basis, which we didn't have in place before. And
Yeah.
the old idea that, do you remember when people used to work from home and many people would say, oh, you need to check in on them. Are they really working hard? And I probably suffered from that a bit in the
Yep.
past. I'd probably be thinking that. And when suddenly everybody's working from home, or in the offices, you've got no choice but to trust.
Yeah.
You've got to, and you see immediately that actually, not only are you getting everything you want out of people, you are getting more. And
Yes.
actually, if they've got an appointment, yeah, go off to the appointment and do it. If you're on a Teams call and the dog walks in the background, or the child walks in and they join the call for a minute, it's fine. So I suppose really early on you learn that actually people generally are trustworthy.
Yep.
And if you trust them, you get far more out of them and you build better relationships. So yeah, I'd say again linked to COVID, I suppose. I'm probably more trusting than I used to be. I was always quite trusting, but probably more trusting, and I've reaped the benefits,
Brilliant.
and we've reaped the benefits of that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, the stats were quite not astonishing, but were really supportive of the fact that if we trust people, the remote work and you get more. And it was interesting because people would start work when they used to leave for work, and so you've
Yeah,
got an extra half an hour at each end of the day when people go, well, I'd normally be in effect going to work, so why don't I just get started?
yeah.
Fascinating.
The other thing I'd say about trusting people, my personal opinion is, if you mistrust people, if that's your starting point, and I'm sure we've all worked with people whose starting point is lack of trust,
Yes.
and then people have to prove themselves.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot more stressful as a way of life.
Yes.
And I think it's a lot, I'd be a lot unhappier. I think if you trust people to start with, on occasion you'll get let down. That is
Yep.
life. But 99% of the time you won't. The
Yes.
relationship will be better. It's less stressful. Life's just happier.
I,
So I always try and start from a position of trust, I think.
I 100% behind you on that one. I always say, you have my trust. Um, you earn my mistrust, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Rather than the other way around. You have my mistrust. You have to earn my trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's but the other one I picked up several years ago, on it was some form of management course, I think, and I love the phrase. It was an American lady, and she said, "Trust but verify." Uh,
Right. Yeah.
and the example she used, which I love, was she said, "Well, you want to believe your teenage son or daughter is staying overnight at their friends, but you might just want to ring the parents and just check they got there
Yeah.
okay."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just like it doesn't have to be heavy-handed, but it's just just a
No.
little bit of verification. I think is pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But the results are often the verification, so
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. But the verification is starting from a basis of trust. But yes,
Absolutely,
you verify it, but you're not going, I don't believe them, so therefore I'm double
absolutely.
checking everything.
It's
Yeah.
it's a lighter touch, isn't it? Oh, I'll just check. Yeah, I'll just do a little bit of checking here and there. Um, and Paul, I think you're aware we're a business coaching organization. So I'm keen to know you referenced one earlier. Keen to know who the best coaches you've worked with, whether that is business, sport, life in general. Who's had the biggest impact on you?
Um, so I can answer that quite easily because it's one guy, a guy called Nick Bates. So I do something called Vistage. I don't know whether you've heard of
Yes,
Nick
familiar with
Bates.
that. Yeah,
Um, and so I'm part of a group and we have a chairperson, Nick, and if you like, his superpower is listening. I call it a
brilliant.
superpower because it's a phenomenal skill to have. And
Yeah,
so I meet with him regularly, have lots of coaching sessions, and his great skill that I recognize and develops me is he doesn't give me any answers, frankly. He listens to me
yeah,
and then coaches me for me to come up with my answers or my thoughts.
brilliant.
And so I've learned, yeah, so much there's lots of models out there that are really good. So I use a couple myself when I'm trying to coach and things. But yeah, the key skill I think is listening. And Nick,
Yeah,
it somehow manages it where I get to the end of the conversation, I've got a plan. And he suggested none of it.
yeah,
I started not having a clue what to do, and at the end of it, I've got a plan, a way forward. So yeah, Nick's
brilliant.
a real inspiration to me.
Brilliant. It's a great example of coaching, coaching, not my suggestion is consulting is telling people what to do.
Yeah,
Sometimes that's required. It's like
there's a
that.
time and a place, isn't there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's you've got specific specialist knowledge in this area. Tell me what the best way to. Brilliant.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
coaching is as a discipline is totally different. It's helping. For me. It's the belief and understanding that we've probably all got inside us everything we need. The
Yeah,
coach is just there to help us get it out of us. If that makes sense.
absolutely. And I think with work, I try and adopt, even if I'm not thinking about it, I try and adopt the coaching mentality more often than not. Easier said than done sometimes, isn't it? When you think,
Yes.
I know the answer, I know the answer. But if you tell people rather than coaching them and letting them come to their own thoughts, one, their way forward may be at least as good as yours, if
Yep.
not better. And two, people don't develop if you're telling them, if
No.
you're guiding them as to what to do, whereas actually people, I know for
Absolutely.
me personally, if I make my own decisions and I've come up with them myself, and if I make my own mistakes, if I learn
Yep.
from mistakes, I become much better. So yeah, coaching
Brilliant.
is yeah, it's an undervalued skill. I think it's huge.
I think it is, and it is difficult, and it's. I think the challenge of lots of people, especially in the sort of this sort of arena, is the feeling that I have to justify my value of
Yeah,
by telling you stuff, if that makes
yeah,
sense, rather than just say no. The skill is in. And there was a great example actually years that we often use about coaching, which was about Tiger Woods, the golfer.
yeah,
And he'd peak of his powers, and he'd won, he'd won just about everything there was to win, and he sort of had this reflection about for about 18 months. He had this reflection and said, "Well, look, I'm the best golfer in the world. Nobody's better than me. What can any coach teach me?" And
yeah.
so he literally sacked all his coaching team and said, "I'll just
Right.
do myself." And for the next 18 months, didn't win another. trophy.
Yeah.
And he came to the realization that the coach wasn't there to be better than him; it was help him to be the best he can be.
Yeah.
And I think that's
That's a great way to word a coach, isn't it? To help you be the best you can be. Yeah, that's a coach's role.
that is the coach's role. And I think the other one I love was I think Usain Bolt was asked a similar question. They said, "Well, you're fastest man in the world. No one could run faster than you. So why do you need coaches?" And he had many, and he sort of I think flippantly said, "Well, one of them just stops me eating chicken McNuggets." So
Now
it's,
we could all do with a coach like that,
yeah,
couldn't
absolutely. Well, yes,
we?
yes, me, yeah, yes. I'm in that camp. Um, and whether it's from Nick, your coach, or any other learnings that you've had. Do you have any favourite quotes or sayings you have about business or success or life?
Yeah, I do love a quote.
Me
I'll be
too.
honest, there's probably quite a lot. What have I used a lot? So I don't know whether I can say this. I'll say it, and you can tell me whether I can or not. Have you heard the "I'd rather have a hole than an arsehole" saying before?
Yeah, with regard to people, yeah,
With
people.
regards people, so I always think of that when we're recruiting. You know, when you're
Yes,
desperate for somebody, you think, "I just need a body," and it always works out badly if you just choose
yes,
the first person or anybody just to fill a role. So
yes.
yeah, an old boss of mine used to tell me that saying, and it's always stuck in my mind
I, I
that the principle, yeah, if
love
they're
it.
not right, they're not right.
I absolutely love it. The cost of having the wrong person in place is way more than the cost of not
Yeah,
having
the
of having nobody.
short-term challenge of having the space
Yeah.
far outweighed by the long-term benefits of waiting for the right person and finding the right person.
Yes, I,
Yeah,
I remember doing some recruiting for my business, and I had a colleague come and just to help and support. And one thing he said that stuck in my mind that's always been there is if the person you're going to select is not at least an 8 out of 10,
yeah,
then you're better off just moving on and doing
yeah.
another recruitment process. It's just like don't recruit somebody just as you said just because they're there. And it's always stuck with me that, and it's helped a lot of people to work with. It's like, yeah, it's got to be an 8 out of 10 or more. Um,
Well, I remember it's similar to the Goldilocks principle of recruitment that I remember a recruitment agent once telling me that they'll give you three CVs
yep.
because two of them may be rubbish and the third one may be not much better, but suddenly you're comparing it to
Yes.
two who are not so good and you think, oh,
Yeah.
that's the right one, and actually they're still not the right person. And in the same principle, you could get one
Yeah.
applicant only, and if they're right,
Yeah,
you need to have the
absolutely.
commitment just to go for it because they're right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's just it is the applicant on their own merits rather
Yeah.
than in comparison to other people. And on a similar note, Paul, do you have any favourite books or podcasts on business or success that you can recommend?
So I'm not a huge book reader for business books, but I prefer listening. So when I'm
Yes.
driving, I prefer listening. One of my favorites would be Good to Great,
Yep.
Jim Collins,
Great.
um, the hedgehog concept, level five leadership. So yeah, the principle that so the hedgehog concept, which is, stick to what you're good at, which doesn't mean you never diversify, you don't do other things, but it's what are the things that make you who you are,
Yep.
that make you great, and that should be the basis. So don't suddenly go and do something totally,
Yep.
totally different that doesn't isn't based on the things that you're really good at.
Yeah.
So that's always helped. I suppose that my personal style, I would say I'm evolutionary rather than revolutionary. So again, there
Yep.
are some amazing leaders and business people out there who can take something and revolutionize it. You think of inventors and people like
Yep.
that. I know that's not my
Yep.
my skill set, my style. I'm an evolver, so I do the next right thing and keep moving
Yes.
forward. And so that head job concept really sticks in my mind from Jim Collins.
Love it, love it. It's supported very much. I think it's Brian Tracy that talks about the most successful organisations are the ones where most people spend most of their time doing the three things they really love and they're really good at.
Yeah, and
And
so absolutely, and that's another big thing for me is doing what you love, doing what
yes,
you enjoy. I saw quotes. I was running on a treadmill, which I don't do that often. So now let me just pretend I do it lots and lots. I was running on a treadmill in the gym a couple of weeks ago, and on the screen with some random quotes, and one was from Simone Biles, the gymnast.
Yes,
Said something about the best way to stay fit is doing exercise you enjoy.
yes,
And I just I remember reading it thinking, isn't that's true of everything, isn't it? If you're
yep,
going to be much more successful and happy if you're doing what you
absolutely,
enjoy. You spend most of
absolutely,
your life at work, frankly, most of your
absolutely.
waking hours. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't be any good at it. It would show to everybody around me. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's really interesting because but I catch. I say catch, but I find too many business owners go, well, it's part of the job, isn't it? It's like,
yeah,
and it doesn't have to be. It's like it's
yeah,
a choice. It's like just let's not use that excuse for not finding somebody else for which the thing we hate they'll love because there's always
yeah,
that. There's always
absolutely.
somebody that
Everybody has their own things they love. Yeah, and usually if they love it, they'll be a hell of a lot better than you at it as well.
100%, 100%. So, just following the learning theme, Paul, what would you say you've learned about yourself throughout your journey so far?
Uh, I seem to, so I love learning, so I'm always up to learning. As I get older, I seem to learn more about myself, usually, sometimes positive, sometimes not. But I suppose as I've got older, I've learned, if when I was 18, I probably thought I knew everything, probably. And if I didn't, I'd just bluff my way through
Brilliant.
it and pretend I did. Um, as I get older, I've learned I don't know much, and but not in a bad way, as in there's always somebody better than me. There's always somebody who knows more than me. There's a saying, isn't there? If you're the cleverest person in the room, you're in the wrong
In your
room.
own room.
And
Absolutely.
that's I like that one, and I know that everything I do, there's usually somebody better than me. So my old boss he had his own company, and I worked for him, and he used to say he tried to make himself redundant in every role.
Yep.
So he started off as a one-man band and then employed an administrator, somebody to do
Yep.
payroll, an engineer, etc. And he'd always employ somebody better than him in that role. And that stuck with me. And that's certainly something I've learned that actually if you surround yourself with people better than you and accept that they're better than you, that is not a weakness, that is a strength.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, and so my aim is always, I find it quite easy, but to employ people better than me um, in various different roles, and we're much more successful because of that.
And it's funny you say that because our the key definition we have an action coach of a true business is a commercial profitable enterprise that works without its owner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a great one. That's definitely true. I know that if I'm not here for a few days, I'd like to say if I wasn't here for too long, they'd miss me. But yeah, if I'm not here for a few days, the business is yeah, the
Great.
business is absolutely fine. So yeah, I think that's a really good saying.
I think it's really important because it even if ultimately there's something specifically I love or I'm good at and I just want to keep doing forever,
Yeah,
that's fine. But the rest of the business can operate, or at least if I chose then one day to say not doing it anymore, the business can keep going and cope. But unfortunately, too many people sort of become embedded, and then it becomes a trap because
yeah,
embedded because they love it, but all of a sudden, what happens if you stop loving it? And
yeah,
that
absolutely. And
that's the key.
people want to. I find people do want to make decisions. They do want to have responsibility. And if they're totally reliant on me or any leader for it, then people will stop making decisions and stop
Yes.
doing the right thing. So
Yep.
yeah, absolutely. If the business can run without me in it day to day, and my role is then, there is another saying, sorry to quote another saying, I'm trying to remember who it was, but it's something like, uh, the team's job is to serve customers, the leader's job is to serve the team.
Absolutely.
And therefore, if I'm there to support the team, engage the team, trust the team, celebrate the successes, that's my role. And
Absolutely.
yeah, let them and actually get out of the way when
Yep.
they're doing what they need to do. Don't be a hindrance because I will be often if I'm in the way. Let them do what they're good
It,
at.
especially if you've employed people better than you what they do. It's just like
Absolutely.
we become the sticking point. So
Yeah. Yeah.
let's take a step back. Let's take a step aside. Just let them get on with it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Agreed.
So, Paul, looking forward then, what does the future look like for you guys, and what challenges do you think you might face, if any?
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely face lots of challenges. And when I'm saying that, you must always enjoy your job. We all know. there'll always be tough times, there'll be sticky times, and there'll be lots to come. So I'm not blind to that. We've grown over the last 5 years. We've grown over 10% a year. Our team's grown. We've won awards. We've had a great time. We've grown our customer base. So it's keeping that momentum going. Because what we previously we were a lifestyle business. We had a great reputation as a business for customer service.
Yep.
We were previously an owner managed business and it was run as a lifestyle business.
Yes.
Different style where it was the owners was the decision maker.
Yep.
So we've transformed the business into a more dynamic, growing business,
Yep.
more employee led, where it's more about employee engagement and through that deliver customer service. Uh, so one of the big challenges is to keep that momentum going as we grow. Like all businesses, it's almost easy as a SME, as a small business, you know everybody. Everybody knows you. You can have personal contact relationships with everybody. As we grow, that's going to get harder and harder. So it's keeping that small business mentality and relationships whilst we grow into a bigger business, I think
Brilliant.
is the challenge and not become there's some great big businesses out there. That's not we're not a big business, we're an SME, but there are some phenomenal big businesses that we can learn from. But I don't want to be a big corporate. We want to be intimate, friendly with our customers, have great employee engagement, have relationships, give that service. And if
Yes.
something goes wrong, the customer can pick up the phone and we can respond. You mentioned earlier about being flexible, adaptable to change. Something happens, we want to be able to respond straight away. So it's keeping that whilst we're growing, which I know will not be easy. It's easy to say. I know that will be a challenge, but that's our aim.
I think no, it's bang on. I find too many people to often talk about. I don't want to be. We don't want to become too big because then the culture will change.
Yeah,
But for me, and I say this to them, I say, look, your job becomes the champion of the culture, and if you keep the culture, the business will grow because of the culture, not in spite of it.
yeah,
And if we maintain the culture, we can get as big as we choose and still be the same business.
yeah,
If we focus on culture, it's only because historically people have been in businesses where, for whatever reason, they chose to move away from the culture that got them where they want to get to.
yeah.
I really can't understand it myself, but it's not a function of culture. Isn't a function of growth, and size. We can still do it, but yeah, it takes focus and attention to it. I think, and that's the job for me of the owners and leaders.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think you've worded it better than I can. I'm gonna use that wording, but yes, I think everything starts with culture. If you have the right culture. I remember when I started asking the guys what are our values, and I got that classic responses. Oh yeah, we've definitely got some. Let me have a look.
Yes,
Looking through the drawer.
absolutely, they're in the cupboard. Yeah,
Yeah, they're in there. Let me find our values. It was like, yeah, that we don't have values if we don't know them. And then understanding from the team what we thought our
yeah.
values were, we need to live and breathe them. That culture piece, yeah. So I totally agree. My role is ensure to ensure that culture is at the forefront of everything we do. And yeah, customer service, growth, everything follows from that.
It's so I think it's just so important because it's like that's the secret to your success. Therefore, if we champion that and keep it, then success continues to any size. I think unfortunately we're all aware of large corporates that clearly have moved away from a culture they might have had many years ago, but now have no interest. And I won't mention any names.
Yeah.
I'll start ranting. So we'll move on to that one.
Yeah.
Paul, I'm keen to know what you say to anyone that's thinking of going into business right now.
Okay. Uh, so I would say do it.
Brilliant.
So first, do what you think's right. I often think I'd give people lots of advice, but then the first thing I'd say is, but you don't have to listen to what I say, do what you think is right. So
Yep.
that'd be the first. But yeah, definitely do it. I'm not a doom and gloom. You mentioned earlier about optimism. Um, and I think I think optimism is undervalued.
Yeah.
I think you are what you act, and so if you're optimistic and positive, um, I think that's a great first step. I don't think the world's a disastrous place. If you read the newspapers, you hear doom and gloom. If you it's like that's not the reality. There's loads of that's not to downplay. There's lots of people in difficult situations, lots of toughness. But for a
Absolutely.
business, if you focus on doing the right things and you're passionate about it, there's lots of success to be had.
Absolutely.
SMEs, you'll have worked out, I'm a big fan of SMEs. I work in an SME field. We're an SME. I love it. 90% of businesses in the UK are SMEs,
Yeah.
biggest employers, and we can be really flexible. We can react quickly. And if you've got a niche, you've got a specialism, whatever's going on, at economic level, whatever the government
Yeah.
taxes, whether you agree with them, you don't agree with them. Frankly, I don't think they have as big an impact as people say they do. We focus on what we can do, what our customers need, what our team want to do. And if you do that, you can be successful in any field. So yeah,
Brilliant.
if somebody wants to be in business, yeah, I think you'd be crazy not to be.
Brilliant.
I guess I'd say do something that you enjoy.
Yes, I
Would be
think
the
that's
key.
really, really key. And it's interesting you said that there is another group on quotes a lot today, but I think it's Walt Disney many, many years ago said his quote was something like, I'm told there's a recession happening, but I've chosen not to participate."
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
It,
that's good. Yeah, and
and
once you can't ignore everything going on in the economy,
no,
but it shouldn't define you.
abs
Absolutely.
absolutely. And I think it was interesting. I've had a couple of people actually over the last couple of weeks say, what's your given you work with lots of different businesses, different sectors. What's your view of how business, what's the sort of sentiment, if you like?
Yeah,
And it was only when I asked the question, and immediately said, well, it's really interesting because most of the people I speak to are doing really well.
yeah,
And but then I realised, or I said, I think probably because I and we as an organisation tend to attract positive business people.
yeah,
The people we're speaking to are primarily positive, so we don't see it. And again, like you said, I totally acknowledge that there are challenges out there, but I really do believe that success is about the mindset we have. And any business, especially a SME business, probably addressing a tiny fraction of the market they could grow into, can
yeah,
grow in any circumstance of recession. There's always more
absolutely.
business to be had.
Yeah, yeah, and there's always opportunities. You just got to go for them and be positive. The part of my role, I think, and any leader's role is positive, optimistic management. I've heard it called as in somebody. I remember,
Nice.
no, sorry, it's another quote I'm going to come up with. Somebody talked to me about shadow of a leader. I don't know whether you've heard that saying
I'm not
before.
sure
And
I have.
the idea that you without trying, you will influence everybody around you. So if you
Yep,
walk in looking miserable with steam coming out of your ears, everybody's heads will drop. If you come in with a big smile saying good morning to everybody, everybody will smile. And that's a really basic note, but you'll have an influence on everybody around you without trying. And
completely
so
agree.
if you're positive, optimistic, that will spread. And so yeah, I think it's a huge benefit.
But, you're absolutely right. I often say to people, you can't not communicate.
No.
Whatever you do, whatever you say, how you walk into a room, even if you don't actually say anything, that makes a difference. And as a leader, we have to be your reflection of the business. So,
Yeah, definitely.
um, now you said earlier that as an 18-year-old, you probably knew everything. But a final question would be, what would be the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do it, and they were to listen?
Okay, that's a good question. Yeah, I'd say what would best advice? Uh, this might be a bit of a gap. It's saying I wouldn't give myself advice, but I'll explain it, and then you might say
Yeah,
that's a rubbish answer, Paul. But I'll go with it anyway.
it's
In
cool.
that, one, I wouldn't have listened, but if I was going to listen, I think the best way to learn is to have a go and make mistakes. I'm not saying deliberately try and make mistakes, but yeah, to be scared of making mistakes. I've learned far more in my life, and I'm sure most people have, from the things I've got wrong
Yeah,
to where I've failed, when I've made a mistake, than when I've got it right.
yeah,
Uh, and therefore, if I was going back to give myself advice, and the advice was to do something differently, then actually I probably wouldn't be where I am today. Um,
yeah,
So yeah, I'd almost avoid giving myself any advice because I'm in an incredibly fortunate position. I love what I do. I own an amazing business with great people. So yeah, I wouldn't change anything. Yeah, if you ask me, would I have liked to have made some of the mistakes when I look back and say, would I rather not have made them? Then yes, of course, I'd rather
Yes.
not. But they're making me who I am today, and I've learned from them. So yeah, my advice would be just not to give myself any advice.
Like it. I've not had that one before, but I get the principle, and I totally agree. Again, it's funny you say that. So I remember our founder Brad, who's a very very successful guy. He said to me many years ago. He said he believed he was. I get this right. Believed he was as successful as he was because he'd made more mistakes than anybody else he knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not despite any, and for me that was a function of being comfortable making mistakes.
Yeah.
Means I do more, I try more, I'm more
Keep
innovative,
trying. Yeah,
and it's just
absolutely.
that acceptance. And it was really interesting, Fran. It really I took a step back at that point because most it's obvious to say I've made mistakes, I'm successful, yeah, not despite making more mistakes than anybody else, but because
But
of it. And
because,
I I,
yeah,
I love that phrase.
yeah, I think that's
Paul,
right.
it's been fascinating to talk to you today, and I really thank you for your time. And for anyone that's watching that would like to get in touch with you or JTM service, what would be the easiest way of doing that?
Yeah, so drop us an email. Do you want to say my email address or phone
Yeah,
number?
please do. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so paul.wood@jtmservice.co.uk. The office number is 0113 257 2221. If you just Google JTM Service or Google me at JTM Service, you'll find us. We're on all socials. So, and if anybody would like to speak to me, yeah, that would make my day. I'd be delighted.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, no, that'd be great. Well, look, we wish you obviously the best of luck moving forward, and it'd be great to swing by another 6, 12 months and maybe just catch up and see
Yeah,
where the business is going, and maybe trade a few more quotes. But for now,
yeah, no, definitely. And thank you very much, Chris. I've really enjoyed that.
me too. Thank you so much.
Right.